What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with another video. We're going to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I wanted to talk a little bit more about them because we knew Paul George got traded. We knew something was going to be up with Russ, and Russ didn't get traded too long from then. But nobody expected them to trade them to the Rockets. It was a rumor. We knew it was possible. But the way to make it possible was by trading Chris Paul, who we thought would be in a three-team trade to get him off of the Thunder so he can go to a contender or a different team that really wanted to compete, and they can get rid of him in his cap space so that way they can get under that luxury tax. I think Sam Presti is a good GM. I think that he's not done because when you look at this roster, it's kind of weird, and it's a lot of money tied up to a team that's not really willing or can really do anything. Now, one of the questions that we get as analysts is, can this team make the playoffs? I think that they can be competitive. I don't see why they can't put themselves in that conversation next season as one of the seventh, eighth, or ninth best teams in the NBA in the Western Conference. So when you look at the Pelicans, when you look at the Dallas Mavericks and other teams that's still growing and still trying to develop talent, at the end of the day, the Thunder has just as much talent, if not a little bit more, and they can compete for that spot too. So I don't really see the Thunder being a terrible team. I don't see the Thunder being one of the worst teams. I think they're going to be up there with the Kings, the Pelicans, and the Mavericks fighting for those last couple of spots with the other teams. But injuries do play a factor. I feel like they're going to really have to rely on a lot of certain guys to really make a playoff push, and I will have to see if they can stay healthy. Andre Robertson, we don't know when he's coming back, and we don't even know if he'll be the same player because he had a significant injury, and his defense and game is predicated on athleticism. Steven Adams has continued to do whatever the team needs him to do to succeed, but he hasn't been able to get them over the hump. We knew that he was a solid center, one of the most respected centers in the NBA. He's a hard worker. He's a bruiser. He plays hard. He gets rebounds. He has worked on his game offensively. He has continued to extend his game since he's been in OKC, and I thought that he would be one of those pieces that they would have to move if they really wanted to win with Russell and Paul George, because he just wasn't great enough. He wasn't an all-star caliber player, and I think that's what they really needed if they was going to really make a big playoff push with Russell and Paul George as their best player. And the other person that they would probably had to throw in the deal to make that gamble too would be Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was a guy that got traded because he was a little bit better than Melo. He fit them a little bit better, allowed Russ to play off the ball. It gave them another ball handler to go with Paul George and Russ on the court, and a guy that can create his own shot and create shot for others. So, in my personal opinion, I always liked Dennis Schroeder, but I never thought that he was amazing. He was kind of like the Steven Adams why I brought them both up. We knew that Schroeder can play. We knew that he was a hard worker. We knew that he can come in and get buckets even when he came off the bench. And he played pretty well against John Wall in the playoffs when he did get an opportunity to be a starter in the NBA. It just didn't really lead them to anywhere. So when you look at Steven Adams and Dennis Schroeder, they're complementary players, but they're not elite players as athletes or even as scoring options, and they don't really bring enough defensively to really warrant the contracts that they have. I understand why the Hawks did it, but at the same time, the Thunder are suffering from that contract because now, to me, they will have to get rid of Steven Adams or Schroeder if they really wanted to cut out of that luxury tax. But they're going to probably have to take either a couple bad contracts back, or they're going to have to give up some picks. And in that case, you still in a situation where you got a lot of talent. You still can be competitive, but you rather lose so you can get a top pick. And the Thunder would be fine. You look at all the picks that they was able to accumulate throughout this trade deadline. This trade season, free agency, getting a lot of picks from Russell, getting a lot of picks back from Paul George. It's easy for them to just attach a pick to a Steven Adams or a Dennis Schroeder or Chris Paul to get rid of them. But we know that Sam Presti has built this dynasty well, not dynasty, just built this team off drafting, whether it was drafting Serge, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, or even drafting Jeff Green that allowed them to get Kendrick Perkins, even drafting the Reggie Jacksons and the other guys that allowed them to switch up talent and give them an opportunity to still compete with different lineups because they have value. All that came through the draft. We know that the Thunder biggest free agency signing was getting back Paul George because he was a free agent and he was one of the best players, and nobody really thought that he was going to stay with OKC. But they have made some mishandlings and some mistakes, just like any other organization. But if I had to keep it real, I'd rather be on the Thunder than a lot of other teams because at least I know they're about winning. You know what I'm saying? At least I know that they're literally willing to make trades, willing to give the team, the players what they want while also gaining talent back. And it's going to be a rough climb because they are in salary cap hell, and the fact that they are boasting so many picks, it do make you wonder what direction are they going to go in, because I feel like even if you trade a Chris Paul, Steven Adams, or Dennis Schroeder, you can still get one or two young players or a draft pick back if you move the right player after that. Like, so they moved Jeremy Grant for a solid pick back, and they was able to get some decent picks back for a contract like Russell Westbrook, and they was able to get a huge amount, the most ever, in Paul George. So I think Sam Presti is witty. I think he's smart, and I think that he's starting to figure out what direction him and Billy Donovan want to go in with this current OKC team going into next season. And even if they go into next season, this is a situation where you can't stop working. People want to know what the Thunder are going to do. Is they going to die? Is they going to be competitive? Is they going to try to make that move to put them back in contention that Sam Presti has done since they have had Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook? They was always able to trade and flip the roster, always able to trade and stay relevant and stay competitive. Even if it didn't win them a title, they was always in the conversation as one of the teams that could win the title. And I think that hasn't changed even going into this season. So I think Sam Presti still is due for one of those trades that switches up this whole team and puts them in a different direction. I feel like this team does fit Chris Paul a little bit, having athletic wings that can switch and guard multiple positions, having an inside scorer like Steven Adams that can catch the lobs, the dunks, and float it. They do have some solid bench players on this team too that you have to give credit to. So it's not like this is one of the worst rosters in the NBA. They still do have Danilo Gallinari, a guy that can give you 20 points, give you 3-point shooting, and other things that can really fit around Chris Paul. And he has already played for the Clippers. And then you have Mike Muscala. He's a guy that can give you 3-point shooting. You have Patrick Patterson that could have a better career because his contract is almost up if he wants to stay. And you also have the old veterans like the Raymond Feltons, and you also have Shai Gilgeous, a guy that wants those minutes and can play the 1 or 2 and guard threes too. So you have a lot of versatility, you have a lot of flexibility, you have a lot of chaos that you can really create offensively and defensively. And I think that this is going to be one of the more unique rosters to watch, as we do see a lot of talent and we do see that this team possibly can fit well together. It do raise that question that is it even worth keeping Chris Paul? Do you want to stay in that playoff hunt and be one of the more consistent organizations in the last 10 years? Or do you really want to make that decision to say, Seth Iyer, get rid of the majority of our players, even if we got to add picks to get rid of them so we can get under that luxury tax and be able to actually rebuild fully? Or will we try to retool like the Celtics, keep a team that's competitive, keep a team that's fun, and once the free agents come, they're going to see, just like the Clippers, we got a competitive team and we got some youth on this roster. We got a decent organization that has showed that they can win, that has made a winning culture, and we can add players as we go along, because Chris Paul only got 2 years left on that contract. So it ain't like they're 5 year locked into Chris Paul. His contract is going to be up eventually, and they will have that cap space to go after somebody else, even if it is through free agency or it is through trade. And I think that obviously Chris Paul is not part of their long-term future because he is 34 and he wants to go out there and compete for a title as much as he can, because his career is on the verge of going to an end and he has declined significantly from where he was before. But he did suffer a lot of injuries throughout his career, and he hasn't been the tallest, most physical guy Plus, he is older and he losing his burst that really put him on the map when he was younger. He was never the most athletic. He was just quick and very smart and tactical when he had made his plays and his moves and his ability to keep his teammates involved. So when I look at this roster, I wouldn't be surprised if this team made the playoffs, but also, is that really what the Thunder want to do? I think that's the biggest question. Do they want to go into this roster trying to make win and like they've been doing for the last couple of years, or is they going to really prioritize clearing as much cap space as they can and getting young to players like Shai Gilgeous, for example, the Terry Fergusons, for example, and Andre Robertson, for example, guys with potential and upside to get better and to become more than what they are right now? Or will they just try to keep the veterans around and compete while they have Bill and Donovan until one of these trades open up or one of these players come around where they can either trade up in the draft, move down in the draft and get the player they want, or even just trade to get the #1 pick because they do have a lot of assets. So if they do find somebody that they like or somebody that they feel can really put them in a different direction, they have the assets and the talent to get a deal done, whether it's through free agency or the draft now. Now it's just about finding that guy that can really change the fortune of this team and put them right back in to having a superstar and being able to get other stars to come with that guy and go back to winning titles. Putting yourself back in that competition for winning titles and being a contender in the West. But this can happen very fast. Like I said, this Chris Paul contract isn't 4 or 5 years. It's coming to an end eventually. And with that cap space or even with these picks, they can really switch things up on the fly and they can really make some quick adjustments and really put them in a situation where they're back in, competition to win it. And they're going to have a chance to win this year, but is it really worth the 8th, 7th, or 8th seed knowing you're going to get put out, or will they flip it before free agents trade deadline is over? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think they should rebuild? Do you think that they should try to at least see what they got? Do you think that they should go out there and play regardless and see if they can get to the playoffs again and figure it out next off season? Or do you think that the time is now? They need to make the trades and adjustments and try to figure out their direction right now while they still have the assets and still have the talent and the season hasn't started, so value hasn't rose or declined because we haven't seen the players play, and that could be a benefit because you can sell high, or that could be a negative where players are worse going into the season and at the trade deadline. So Sam Presti got a lot to think about. He's in a situation where he got to make decisions and he got to make some ones that might not be favorable to the OKC fans, but he also in a position where everybody respect him. Everybody know he's one of the best GMs in the game, and that comes with a lot of pressure, and that comes with a lot of you got to go out there and get it done. So Sam Presti's in a tough situation, and let's see can he make nothing out of something again with this Oklahoma City roster. But at the end of the day, let me know what you guys think about the Thunder, what they shouldn't do, and if you think they can make the playoffs, and let me know that in the comment section below. And at the end of the day, it's crazy, but I didn't think Chris Paul would be going back to OKC, and now he might be stuck there this year. If not, they're going to have to give up some assets to get rid of that contract. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Thanks for everybody that likes on Facebook. Thanks for everybody that likes the videos. Thanks for everybody that comments. I like the activity that you guys have shown. I answered comments that make sense, if that makes sense. And also, at the end of the day, if you like this video, check out my older videos on my channel. I have many playlists. I break down rookies. I break down players. I break down summer league. I do cover the draft, and I got a mock draft up already. Not only that, I do podcasts, and I also talk about the game of basketball, whether it comes to summer league, free agency, trade deadline, buyouts, and also I cover top 10 discussions and stuff like that. So you like this type of video, you like the NBA, check out my older videos and my playlists. I enjoy making these videos. You guys enjoy watching. I'm gone.